Let me call the meeting to order. Ms. Gore, we call the roll.
Mr. Lamar,
Present.
Ms. Fletcher,
Present.
Mr. Benjamin,
Present.
Ms. Williams,
Present.
Dr. Biaux.
Thank you, Ms. Gore. I'll ask us all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Ms. Fletcher if she'll lead us in the pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. It's certainly nice to see all of you here tonight. Welcome to our meeting. We have a few presentations here on our agenda tonight. The first one is for our very own Barbara Fletcher. We're excited for you and the next stage of life for you and your next adventures ahead. But there's some things. This is going to be her last school board meeting with us tonight. She has served us really well from, she was first elected back in 2014. And so you've done a really remarkable job on this board, and I'm really thankful for your time that you've given us here. There are some things that we have for you. So, Ms.
Yes.
Mason?
Ms. Fletcher, would you join me down in front, please? Everybody can see you. Oh, my sunglasses. We have a couple of recognitions for Ms. Fletcher. We are expecting also Amber Mills, who is our county commissioner, to come in as well. She obviously running late, so we'll just stop when she comes in, but she has something she on behalf of the county commission as well. Then on behalf of our school board and our school staff, we have a little plaque for you to say thank you. I remember that back in like November of 2013, that first election, and who would have ever thought we'd be where we are 6 years later. So you were very instrumental in that work, and thank you for all that you've done for our school system on behalf of our school board. So I'm so thank you. On behalf of the town, Mayor Wisdom could not be here, he had surgery today, but we do have a proclamation from the town of Arlington, and I don't think everybody wants me to read this, but I will read the last part of it. It says, now therefore be it proclaimed by the board of mayor and aldermen of the town of Arlington, Tennessee, that the town of Arlington hereby proclaims October 1st, 2019 as Barbara Fletcher Day in the town of Arlington, Tennessee. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation shall be effective immediately upon adoption of the public welfare requirement. You'll have your own day, Ms. Fletcher, and you're very welcome to that.
Oh, she's not going to say it.
Last chance to say something. Okay. All right, we will move ahead now to some recognitions of some AHS AP scholars. We have a number of you here today. They filled the room today, so I'm going to ask Ms. Mason to lead us in that as well.
Yes, this is always an exciting meeting to have our AP scholars with us. I would like to call Ms. Diana Penny, Vice Principal of Arlington High School, and Mr. Reginald Gibson, Assistant Principal up, and they are going to explain to you all, the audience that does not know, what AP scholars are, and then we're going to have the opportunity to recognize our bright students that are our future. Ms. Penny. Mr. Gibson.
Ms. Mason, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board, our audience, every year Arlington offers a very strenuous AP program, and a number of our students participate in a lot of AP classes. And so we would like to recognize a select few of those students who have gone over and above by taking not only a large number of AP classes, but also maintaining a certain level of excellence and scores on those AP exams as well. And so what we would like to do is we would recognize them. And so first, there's 3 separate awards: AP Scholar with Honor, and AP Scholar with Distinction. And I'm going to call your name, and if you would, come to the front. And Ms. Penny has a certificate from Arlington High on our behalf. And also for the audience, I will also read the explanation of the different separations. First, we're going to recognize the AP Scholars. An AP Scholar is granted to a student who gets scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. First, Atira Adaras. Crew Allen. Okay. Catherine Brown. Kaylee Bunn. Audrey Cooper. Sarah Duke. Avery Gibson. Justin Gutierrez. AJ Hanamaya. Alexis Heflin. Japneet Kaur. Matthew Koo. Phoebe Murrin. David Orleans Lindsay. Brandon Pham. Henry Richard. Victoria Rivera. Christian Stevens. Hong V. Tran. Jackson Travis. Jackson Ward. Kaya Williams. And Lauren Ziegler. Next, we'll recognize, you want to take a picture first with them?
Just after we're finished, if you all will meet out there, just for the pictures of each group. Thank you all very much.
Thank you again. Our next recognition comes to AP Scholars with Honor. These are granted to students who get an average score of at least 3.25 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more exams. Jalen Barker. Allison Bartlett. Tatum Butler. Macy Clanton. Zachary Edwards. Jocelyn Ehalt. John Morgan Fahey. Hannah Finley. Emma Korsmo. Rachel Larrabee. Elena Lee. Hattie Murray. Julianne Phillips. Abigail Shurzan. Trinity Scott. And Aaron Vanderslick.
Around for this group.
Okay, our final award goes to AP Scholars with Distinction. These are granted to students who get an average score of 3.5 on all the AP exams they take and scores of 3 or higher on 5 or more exams. Kelsey Dorman. Anthony Jenkins. Caitlin Kelly. And Mark Wheeland.
One more round for this group. Did anyone come in after we started?
Thank you.
If we could have all of the AP scholars stand up, please, all 3 groups, please.
Yeah, so if you can go out to the foyer, we'll get your picture made. And so you are welcome to head that way right now. Ready? Hey, thank you guys.
Yeah, I don't.
Hey, so we're going to give you a moment too, moms and dads, family that's with our kids. You're more than welcome to stick around for the meeting, or this will be a good time. We'll give you a minute to exit if you want to. That was a ton of kids.
Doesn't matter to me. Because I had to take classes. That's right. I'm forgetting.
All right, ready to roll? You ready to roll on?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move ahead to citizens' comments. Ms. Gore, do we have any citizens' comments? No citizens' comments, okay. We will then move on to the approval of our agenda. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
Motion to approve.
There's been a motion by Ms. Fletcher, second by Mr. Lamar. All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move ahead to our reports. Chairman's report. I only have a couple of things. Just a reminder that the TSBA convention is coming up, so Ms. Gore will be getting with you on travel plans and all that kind of stuff. So just make sure if you see something from her on that, that you just follow up with her on what's coming ahead for the state convention. And then we've got a birthday coming up this week. Miss Kay Williams' birthday is on Thursday.
God bless.
And so, we don't have any cake tonight, but, maybe we'll do it on Thursday at your house.
Okay.
But
I'll
happy
bake it. I'll
Happy
bake
birthday
it.
in advance. Exciting
Thank
times.
you, thank you.
That's really all I have, so, from Chairman's report, we'll go to Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a few items for you tonight. First, I want to remind everybody, I believe Mr. Goforth has sent this out, but we are beginning our Lead Arlington series again for the 1920 school year. It will begin in just a few weeks. The date for the 3 meetings are October 8th, December 3rd, and March 10th. As always, we invite and would love to have the board members at any of those or all of those, whatever your schedule allows. The first meeting, October 8th, we will be hosting at the school district, so please put that on your calendars. Also wanted to remind you all that the ELA textbook adoption process is beginning in the district and across the state. This is going to be a big adoption year, as it's been several years since the state of Tennessee has adopted textbooks for ELA. I know Ms. Williams and Ms. Fletcher know that. The district is currently in the beginning stages of this process and will be selecting a district ELA textbook adoption committee that will come to, once they come with a consensus of that committee, they'll be bringing back to the school board for approval of what the recommended adoption materials are for ELA. Right now, the state's working to finalize the list of ELA publishers and that districts will be able to review, and hopefully they'll be able to release that sometime before December 1st to all school districts. So it will be a lengthy process to go through. Also, Family Life Curriculum Preview Day will be this Thursday, September 26th, from 7:30 to 4:30 at the district office. And we have sent information out to all parents regarding this. All parents and district stakeholders are invited to stop by and preview the Family Life curriculum for the 1920 school year. Per state policy, the addition of human trafficking education video is the only update to the Family Life curriculum. Y'all may remember that with the legislation that passed this year. Also really excited about this. The build out of the new engineering hub at Arlington High School is in progress. You may remember Commissioner Mills helped us get well over $400,000 from the commission. Last year we have received that money, and so the district received that money is being used to build out and update our programs that support the engineering, such as the BioSTEM Lab or STEM Lab, cybersecurity, coding, mechatronics, and our Principles of Manufacturing course at AHS. And we'll tell you our Principles of Manufacturing and our Mechatronics this year has over doubled in number of students, and especially the Mechatronics course. So really excited about the future of that particular program. All of these courses tie into our new Engineering and Innovation Academy that we are starting this year. And we'll be supporting all the students that take all of the courses and programs of study within that. Also, we've been talking over the last, I guess this is year 6, about the frustrations we've had with the county commission capital funding and how it comes in or does not come in, and it's always a surprise to us when we either don't get something or we do get something. I had a great meeting yesterday. I've had a couple great meetings. Yesterday, met with Vice Chairman Jones, who's also head of the Finance Committee for the commission, and working with Shelby County Government's Finance Director, and they have worked on a solution that all of the municipal superintendents are very pleased with. And what that solution is that they've gone back and looked at the historical data for Shelby County schools on approximately of what they're allocated and approved by the county commission, how much of that capital money do they spend on average historically. And with that, they have come up with the figure of 80% that they are going to be bringing a resolution before the full county commission, hopefully in October, that will allocate 80% of our ADA of whatever Shelby County Schools has been allocated. And so we would know ahead of time then how to plan to use that money. As you know, we can't really plan on how to spend that money now because the check just shows up. And it may be for, $10,000, it may be for $90,000, we don't ever know. And so what this would look like if the commission passes this is that we would, just as we receive our BEP funds and our money from our local government, they would divide up that figure. So let's say that we get $1 million for the year. They would take 80% of that, and then they would divide that up equally for the 12 months, and we would get that in an even amount for each of the months, just like we do BEP. So very happy about that. I want to say thank you specifically, and she's not here yet, to Commissioner Mills. When Commissioner Mills was elected, I asked to meet with her and explain how the frustration that we have had with this process. She brought in Commissioner Whaley, who is head of the Education Committee for Shelby County Commission. He came out and spent some time with me, and then all of the superintendents were able to go do a presentation before the commission last year. We all emphasized this, and the commission heard our concerns, really didn't realize how that was affecting us. And so really pleased about the direction that we're going on this. I will keep you updated. Where it ended yesterday with Commissioner Jones has directed the administration's finance director to come back with a resolution for them to approve. So.
Will you just talk briefly about, you mentioned earlier to me about how if we have to spend money out of our fund balance, that we can't necessarily, the way it's always come in the past, we can't actually put that money back into fund balance.
Yes.
This is a huge deal.
Yeah, as we've had to do before, you know, we've tried budgeting both ways. We've just budgeted out of fund balance, not knowing. Then we tried to, well, let's look at our allocation. Let's, Ms. Roberts would look at the year before, and we would make a logical assumption, well, we're only going to get 40% of what our capital allotment is, because again, it depends on what Shelby County does. Neither way has proved really successful for us, specifically trying to make a determination of what we're going to get from the Shelby County. So we've been budgeting out of our fund balance. And once we have spent that money, that money can't go into fund balance. It's got to go toward a capital project. So it would just be there for the next one, the next capital project. So once we spend that out of fund balance, that capital money can't reimburse in fund balance. So that's going to really help us, again, in planning and how we allot that revenue coming in.
That's a big deal.
So do you
Yeah.
think it looks good?
I do. I talked to Commissioner Mills again today. I talked to Commissioner Whaley yesterday. And they both believe that there's wide support on the commission for that. And when I was before them, I think Ms. Williams, I think you and Mr. Lamar was
We
there
were,
with me.
we were.
At that meeting.
We were.
That, I think you got a sense that they were finally understanding and that there was support from it then. So, so this is really great news for us in our capital as we go forward with our budgeting for capital. As you all know, the gym is open and is being fully utilized, and if you've not had an opportunity to go catch a volleyball game or something there, it's just the excitement there is unbelievable. It's a beautiful facility. The kids are very happy to have it. The parents are very happy to have it. So finally, glad to get that final certificate of occupancy, and I know Mr. Ruff is. We are still waiting for the final documents for the indoor athletic facility. I believe we're still waiting on some approvals from the town for the enlarging the retention capacity at that site. And so our architect is working with the town officials on that. And so once the engineers finish with that, then I'm hopeful that we'll be able to bring something in October before you. And the last thing, I have asked Mr. Mayo to give you an update. You may recall the year before, background checks was part of the legislation that was passed, that all employees have to have a background check every 5 years. And that became official as of July 1. This year is our large amount of employees that we've had for 5 years, because we became a district in the year 14-15, so that's our largest number of years. You also know that we've budgeted money in this year's budget to pay for those backgrounds. You all believed, and we all believe, that employees shouldn't have to pay that fee. So Mr. Mayo and his staff has created that process and procedure that has begun. But I wanted him to give you an update on what that looks like and what that feels like, because it's a major undertaking, and a lot of our employees, and Mr. Mayo can tell you approximately the number of employees that are having to go through this background check. So, Mr. Mayor, will you update him on that?
Right. So for this cycle, this first group, as Ms. Mason said, this is our largest group that will go through, and then 5 years from now, this large group will go through again. And right now, we have 261 employees that are impacted by this year's requirement to get the background check. So far, we've had 171 employees who have complied with that. We have 90 that we've given the date of November the 8th as the drop dead date to be in compliance with that. And so we have no reason to believe that our other 90 employees will not be in compliance with that by November the 8th. As Ms. Mason said, that was a budgeted item. Once all employees have gone through the background check for this year, that will be at a cost of $9,174.15 as a result of that 261 going through that required procedure. Basically what happens is the employees are notified, they are given a link to go on and register for their background check. They're also given an opportunity to select the location that they would like to have that background check done. They're also given a code that they take with them when they have that procedure done, so that they're not out any money up front. If they bring that code with them, once they're registered and they get their fingerprints done, then they're done. And then we get a report and making sure that there's no issue or anything with the background checks. We've had none at this point. The only issue we've had is there's been a couple of employees who've had unreadable fingerprints, so they've had to go back and have that done again, which unfortunately falls on the employee to do that. It's an inconvenience, but everybody's been very gracious about it. I think we've had maybe 4 that have had to do that so far. So it's going well. We dreaded it, having to do it, but we have a process in place now that's making that as bearable and pleasant as possible for our employees. Any questions about that background process?
What happens if someone fails the check?
Well, we have to look at it on an individual basis and determine what that failure is. If it's an indication, it comes back no indication, which
Could be an
means
error.
Their background, it could have been. We contact the employee obviously first and find out why this is coming back. And the report will give us an indication. Sometimes it may be something that, we have a 55-year-old employee who got a DUI or something when they were 19 years old in college, and we kind of try to overlook that as long as we know that's the only issue that's there. So again, it's just individual. We cross that bridge individually when that happens. And that's the same process we follow when we hire new people, when we hire substitutes or any other employee to the district. As far as other areas for me, right now we have no vacancies. All vacancies are filled. I also want to give you an update that we have a 98% fill rate on our substitute. That's a good accomplishment. At 98%, because we have such a low divider between those 4 schools, is one unfilled absence made us drop to 98%. And that was an absence that someone called in an hour before they needed a sub, and we weren't able to get a sub for. So far, so good on substitutes this year.
Wow, that's great.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Mason. We'll move to financial report. Ms. Roberts?
Good evening. The July 2019 financial report, general fund revenues, $276,550. Expenditures, $2,273,125. And that large difference is due to the majority of the revenue that we receive in the month of July is actually for the previous fiscal year, which is typically our sales tax, and that's usually in July and August. Both those months' sales taxes for the previous fiscal year, so you'll see lower revenues in the first couple of months. The nutrition fund had no revenues and expenditures of $18,642. Federal and discretionary grants, revenues and expenditures of $30,493. CIP fund, no activity. In their interlocal health benefits plan asset trust for July 2019, year-to-date revenues of $11.6 million, year-to-date expenses of $4.2 million, beginning balance of $78,000, and an ending balance of $7.4 million. And in the month of July, the trust was pre-funded by 3 months by all member organizations. That concludes the financial report.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Roberts. Any questions for Ms. Roberts? All right, if not, we will move to our TLN report. Dr. Biox.
Yeah, so you guys, I think Mr. Lamar and Kay were there last night when TSBA sort of got a feel for where we wanted to go legislatively. We had the opportunity to vote on several items to decide whether we're going to push that kind of stuff forward. We have a TSBA Board of Directors meeting Friday where that stuff will be finalized. I got a little bit from general counsel, but I never heard anything from board members. So I think we'll push forward with the agenda that we talked about, as well as TSBA's agenda. There is one opportunity left to get them to lobby for us, and that's at a fall district meeting in a delegate assembly. Those of us that have been here for a long time will tell you it's kind of hard to generate some buzz during that thing and even get enough votes to get it approved to get on their agenda, which is why we pushed to do some of this stuff so early this year. But I do encourage all of us that are able to go to delegate assembly to definitely do, and you'll kind of shape the way that TSBA will lobby on our behalf. We will still do our regular thing that we've always done. We'll put together our legislative agenda. We'll make sure that gets mailed out to all of our relevant legislators and kind of go from there. So for the TSBA thing, it's kind of a little bit too late, but for us, our individual ACS agenda, certainly we can entertain any additional things that you want us to push forward this year. I think we'll always have the no unfunded mandates. We just talked about the background checks, which was nice since they made us do it and didn't give us any money. They make that a habit. So that'll definitely be on there, as well as a couple of things that General Counsel and I have already discussed from the district. But feel free, keep those ideas coming, and we'll build our legislative agenda and have it to you hopefully soon. We'll get together.
Mr. Trevor,
By November.
Can I ask Dr. Biox
Yeah.
a question? What do you think about the keeping on the repeal of the A through F? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a dead issue. Is it for the school systems? What do you think about keeping that on the agenda?
So I absolutely, if that's not resolved by then, I think we should do it. I mean, we did talk a little bit about that last night. I think that has got to go away. I mean, it just has to. It looks like there's some momentum at the state level. Nobody's a fan of it except for the commissioner. So hopefully we'll, and I know the superintendent, did you guys talk about that at your superintendent meeting?
We
I
have
know a lot
briefly.
came up.
We have briefly. With our new commissioner, I will tell you that she is not as big a fan of it as Commissioner McQueen was. We do have, she found some pieces that in state board regs this year, because of the trouble with testing year before last, that didn't have 2 clean years of data. That gave us a reprieve for this year. I will tell you that members from the legislative, including Representative White and Senator Grisham, are very much in favor of it. And so I think this is really being pushed more by some of the legislators than the current administration
That's
of
good.
the TDOE. I will also, as we're talking about the accountability, the commissioner was looking at making some changes to the current accountability model.
I saw that.
However, I think there, in the last couple weeks, due to some directives, the superintendent's received correspondence this week saying that there would be no changes to the accountability model in the near future.
Or limited, was that the word they used? There
Or
was no
limited,
changes to
or limited, yes,
Something along
yes,
those lines,
yes.
which is still scary.
And she was
but-
looking at proficiency instead
Yes.
of growth, and they kind of shut her down,
They,
right?
they shut her down, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
so
think about
for
that?
sure that needs
What's
to
your
be on
feeling
there.
on
I
that?
think, I think both areas is important. I just think how they use it for the grading of schools is inconsistent, because you can have, specifically when we're looking at grading teachers, you have teachers one year that will be a level 5 teacher, and the next year they'll be a level 1. And so it's hard for me to see, and the same with schools. How can you have a teacher that performs well one year, uses all the same practices, but the next year is a level 1, next year is a level 5. And it's not uncommon to see that big a jump. And the same with schools, going from 1 to 5, 5 to 1. So, you know, I think that's where the biggest concern is. I think the data is good for our teachers in our schools to look at kids and how they grow, but each cohort of kids comes with different challenges, and they don't compare the cohorts to cohorts. It's grade level to grade level, and so when you compare this year's third grade to next year's third grade, that may look differently. And so I think there, you can make arguments on both sides. I do think that growth is what we should continue to look at that. How it should be used in the accountability model, I think, is what's up for debate.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
But
point.
for sure, if this A through F school grading thing is not dead by the time it needs to be on there.
Yeah.
That has to go, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Biaux.
Just,
We'll move ahead to consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
so move.
Uh,
Second.
Thank you. So there's a motion by Ms. Williams to approve the consent agenda, a second by Dr. Biaux. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Moving ahead to miscellaneous budget items, Ms. Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first budget item, item 9A, I will remind you, then I'll turn it over to Ms. Roberts. This item is the budget agenda as a result of the board's vote in August regarding step raises, and so this is that item. You will see that the funding for this does come out of fund balance, as we did not have that money in our regular general fund budget. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Roberts.
So I'll kind of walk you all through this to explain it, because it does look a little different than our typical budget amendments. So in that first section, you'll see that there's an addition of $30,000 for cybersecurity. This was money that was funded from the State Department of Education. This is aside from the step increases that was directly funded from the Tennessee Department of Education to Arlington Community Schools for a cybersecurity program. So you'll see an additional $30,000 there. Under the nutrition fund, the additional $6,600, that is for the step increases for the nutrition fund employees. And you'll also see that same amount transfers to other fund in the general fund. And that's because the general fund has to cover that overage in the school nutrition fund, because the nutrition budget must be balanced. And then you'll see the amount out of the unassigned fund balance, the budget going from 5.4 million to 5.6 of using unassigned fund balance in order to balance the budget. And then the last page has all the details for the accounts impacted for the step increases in the general fund. You will not see the federal or discretionary grants on here. Those budgets have to be balanced, so they that'll be on a different resolution.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of the miscellaneous budget item?
You need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
haven't done that yet. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 2019-17 of the Arlington Community Schools Board of Education amending the 2019-20 school budget?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion, Dr. Biaux, a second by Ms. Williams. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The next item, 9B, is our normal monthly budget amendments that we have that is moved within categories. And so that is Resolution 2019-18. Ms. Roberts?
In this budget transfers, these are the federal and discretionary grants where we are adding step increases for the teachers there, and they had to move that money from one account to the other, as well as additional revenue for their carryover that may have been added into those grants.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Roberts. You've heard the explanation for Resolution 2019-18 for our school budget. We have a motion to approve.
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Lamar, a second by Ms. Fletcher. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to remind the board that the resolution 2019-17, then I will be taking this before the town because this adds money to our overall budget. So I will be taking this before the town at the next town meeting.
Okay, thank you. We'll move ahead to business recommended items, 10A. I'll read this action item. This is an item brought by Dr. Viox, recommendation to install vice chairman or acting chairman Scott Benjamin until the regularly scheduled election of officers in June of 2020 and formally request that the election of a new vice chair be added to the October agenda. So you have heard the recommendation from Dr. Viox. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And second, we have a motion by Dr. Viox, a second by Mr. Lamar. Is there any discussion?
Well, it seems to me we just beating the hammer without doing the last two lines seems to explain to me. It says if the office of chairman is vacated prior to the expiration of the annual term, the vice chairman shall assume all responsibility until the new chairman is elected. It seems like it's already there.
Yeah, I think there's some, and you can help me, counsel, if you will, but I think you know what, I'll just give it to you.
Wise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Mr. Lamar. I think Dr. Viox brought that just out of an abundance of caution, but the question being is, in the event that the chairman's not there, who would be the vice chair? So that's what made it a little bit confusing about whether or not you needed to go ahead and fill those spots, now or at the October meeting in regard to the vice chair. So that was the confusion or, gray area, I think, really.
Okay.
Okay, that answer that for you.
Well, I can tell you and that's exactly what what I was thinking when I asked you to put that on the agenda is really the vice chair spot.
Right.
I just assumed you would, as Mr. Lamar said, it seemed to be written in there that you would progress, and then really it was more about electing a new vice chair. But the also thought was since we're having a new board member in October, for her to have a say. But at the same time, I assumed she wouldn't be in the running because she was new, but I could be wrong. Like I hate to throw her under the bus and say, hey, so really I don't care. I mean, I don't care, but we could do it now. We can do it then. It doesn't matter to me.
So regardless, we're going to have the election of the chairman and vice chairman in October, regardless of what.
So I didn't assume we were going to have the election of chairman. That was my understanding was, as you said, that it like he would just step up and fill it. Really, for me, it was about electing the vice chair. That was my thought process, but because the thing's pretty vague, really. I mean, I don't.
I would just suggest that we wait till October
Yeah.
and make Scott, if he wants a job, chairman, and then elect a vice chairman. And since tonight's my last night, I think it would be nice, out of respect, to wait and let Ms. Conley vote and elect the chairman and the vice chairman in October.
Well, I mean, that was the thought when
Yeah.
I brought that to him. So I certainly agree.
So as a matter of procedure then, if that's the will of the board, then perhaps the best thing to do was to withdraw the matter for this month.
Sure.
And then it can be added to next month rather than making a procedural vote to table and all that kind of stuff. Then you have to make a vote to take it off the
Take it off the
table,
table,
and
okay.
so.
What,
Yeah.
can't we just say that we're gonna have an election in October? I mean, because Scott's, we can vote him in officially and be following policy and then go ahead and elect our vice chair, whoever that might be. So, I mean, this is just kind of a clean way to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's actually what I was saying, but you
Yeah.
have to dispose of this
Oh, yes.
in some way
Yes,
tonight.
absolutely.
As you
So
know.
I think what this says is that if we're doing it the way that Ms. Williams said, is
Yeah.
we would be putting if I read this right, the recommendation would be for me to become the chair now, today, if we vote today, and then vote on the vice chair in October. I think that's what is that right, Dr. Viox?
Yeah, I mean, it's however the board's will,
Is
really.
that what you were saying, Ms.
No.
Williams? Okay, all right, I'm sorry, then I misunderstood that.
I apologize for that.
That's okay.
That was my
no.
intention, but
Okay.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
we want
that
to
we
do.
vote go ahead and have just the election in October and vote for chair and vice chair.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's what I suggested.
That's what you suggested, okay. You're okay
Good with
with
it?
it?
So,
Dr. Biatch?
so then,
That would be a substitute motion. Because you've already got before you, there was a motion and a second to consider this.
Right.
So you need a substitute motion to do what Ms. Williams said. So
Yeah.
Ms. Williams just made that, I think,
Okay.
to have the,
Or Barbara did first.
and then, or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and second, and first and second, and then you need to vote on that to move it to October then.
Okay,
As a
so-
substitute motion.
Okay, so we have a substitute
Mm-hmm.
motion.
so we need a second on the substitute,
Yeah,
or?
so we have a substitute
Yeah.
motion
Yeah,
to
sure,
move the
second.
election for
Second.
chair and vice chair to our October meeting.
Sure.
And so we have a motion and a second.
Correct.
By Dr. Biatch.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say, all in favor of the substitute motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's none, so the substitute motion carries, and so are we withdrawing this motion?
Yes.
Is that correct? And this motion has been withdrawn.
Perfect.
So in October, we will have like the chair and the vice chair.
Yes,
on
sir.
the agenda.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah,
Good.
That's correct. All right, moving on to business item D.
Our next item, 10B, is Resolution 2019-19, which is the amending of the school fee schedule. As I said, last month, school has started, and so has field trips. I see Ms. Smith, she's out there, looks like she's got one coming up. So that's what you have before you, any fees that may be associated for students for field trips. You'll see them itemized on attachment A. And so with that is my recommendation to approve Resolution 2019-19, amending the student fee schedule.
All right, you've heard the motion by the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Sorry, you heard the recommendation by the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And second?
We have a motion by Ms. Williams, a second by Dr. Biatch. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes. And we will move to number
I want
11.
to go to the prison trip.
Look, I was just looking at that. Did you see
Right.
it? It says, "Don't follow me."
Prison.
I know, that's right.
I move we adjourn.
All right, and Ms. Fletcher moves we adjourn.
I got one announcement.
Okay,
Second.
Mr. Lamar?
This Saturday, in my perspective, after 10 years, we're gonna, and the school put some money in, so I'm announcing it, that we're having a County of Family Day starting at 8 o'clock. We'll have, all the courts are open, we'll have balls, and we'll have instructors, and we're going to eat lunch, bring your own lunch. And it'd just be a great day if you're in the world of tennis like I am. So we've got to raise a little money, do some things, but it is a great facility. If you haven't gone there, it is first class.
It looks amazing.
We had the ribbon cutting and the play day like we had this Saturday, but we canceled both of them. So this Saturday we have the family day, and I talked with Kathy, and evidently I thought the ribbon cut was going to be October the 4th, but she hasn't put that out. She's been on vacation. But anyway, you don't have to stay all day. Just come out and see the facility and see how it's working. And it's just a great facility, and it'll be great for our tennis team. And we've got a booster club we've got going, and I'm just excited. So I'll see you there, 8 to 11 on Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar. And thank you again, Ms. Fletcher. And we are adjourned.
Ain't Pat.